Hello, I am Lorrie Fowler. I am an artist based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and thanks for joining me. Today I am going to be demonstrating a couple of different fluid painting techniques, and each of these techniques are great ways to get started in fluid painting. So I'll show you those shortly. A little bit about me. I am, like I said, based out of Nashville. I have been painting professionally for about 2 years. I started fluid painting in 2020 and taught myself actually from YouTube. So what I'm going to show you are some techniques that I have learned and then kind of made some of my own in a different way, and also mixing paints. There's lots of different ways to do that. I have a certain way to do it, and other artists use different recipes. So if you're interested in that recipe, I will be sharing that at some point as well. So I love fluid painting because there are guidelines, but there are not hard rules with fluid painting. And before I started using fluid acrylics, I didn't consider myself an artist at all, and then just really fell in love with the process. I have a science background. I love experimenting, and if you've ever watched Bob Ross, you know he talks a lot about no such thing as mistakes, just happy accidents. And through fluid painting, I've found a lot of different happy accidents, which have helped me to develop my own creative style. And then I love to guide other people in finding their own creative style as well through fluid art. You'd be amazed the paintings that you can create even in your first try with some of these introductory methods that I'll show you. One of my favorite things is just to see my students just open mouth, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just made this beautiful art. So I love that about fluid art. I hope that you give it a try and that you enjoy watching the process too. I often will wear gloves to start, and pretty much always end up taking them off at some point and finger painting anyways, which is why I've already got paint on my hands from earlier. But I'm going to start with gloves. And fluid acrylic paint is actually acrylic paint, and then I add a medium to it. So here's an example of just a student grade fluid acrylic, or actually just acrylic paint, and I mix this into a pouring medium to get my paints to the right consistency. So that pouring medium is Floetrol. This is Flood Floetrol. I get this at the hardware store, and then also a little bit of water. And that gets me to have this really nice fluid consistency of my paints, where I can create some really beautiful art by tilting my canvas. Sometimes I blow on the paint. Sometimes I use a blow dryer. So there's a lot of different methods. Even finger painting comes into play sometimes. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up my canvas, and I'm going to use these 4 cups as my risers for the canvas. So I'm just going to set those out. There is a wooden frame on the canvas, and I try to make sure that my cups, that my canvas is resting on the wood portion of the canvas on the cups, and that way it's not going to like poke through my canvas and disrupt the painting at all. So I just pull those out to the 4 corners. And I also sometimes like to write a word or even a scripture verse on the canvas ahead of time if I have some plan as to what I'm going to paint, or a word might just come to me. So I'll just show you what that looks like. This is a acrylic marker. So I'm going to write hope on here. And this is all going to be covered up once the painting is complete. But I'll know that the secret message is underneath, and that's kind of the joy of being an artist. You can hide your own messages as well, and even, reveal that too if someone purchases a painting or something like that, or if they look at the painting on your wall, you can tell them more of the story. So hope is the word here. I'm going to flip it this direction so you can see it. Now I am going to show you a method called the flip cup. So I'm going to use this cup, which I think is a 6-ounce cup. could be wrong about that. Yep, 6 ounce. Says it on the bottom. And my paints, I do want to show you kind of what the consistency looks like. So if I pour the paint kind of from my squeeze bottle here, you can see it's coming out fairly quickly and it's pretty liquidy and fluid, kind of the consistency of warm honey. So I'm going to layer some colors that I really enjoy. I love the ocean. I'm really inspired by it. So these are all kind of oceany colors that I'm going to layer in the cup a little at a time. It's about 1 centimeter or so of paint at a time. I can either pour the paint right into the center of the other color, or if I want to keep them a little more separated, I can turn my cup to the side, kind of like I'm pouring a soda into a cup and trying to keep the bubbles from forming, and that also is going to keep the paints a little more separated. And it's really kind of what look am I going for? Do I want the paints to be mixed and interacting, or do I want more of a layered, separated look? I also try to choose light and dark contrasting colors and layer those on top of each other. So I've just done a white, that dark blue, and I'm going to do this light blue on top. And then I'm going to do this kind of a brighter blue on top of that. I'm layering my paints up to about a little over halfway on my cup, because I know that that's about how much I need to cover my canvas. So then I'm going to do some more white, some more of this dark blue, and it's so pretty even in the cup. I'm going to do a little gold actually, and then I'll do that blue and a little more gold on top. I like to add this gold because it has mica in it and adds this really beautiful kind of sparkle to the painting. And I just love the look of it. I'm going to add a little more blue, a little more gold, and then I'll show you what it looks like and what this process looks like. All right. Okay. So this method, as I said, is called a flip cup. So I'm going to hold this cup like this. I'm going to put my canvas, flip it over, put it upside down on my cup, and then hold both. And then I'm going to flip the whole canvas and cup over and put them back on my risers. And this is the really fun part, is that I can then see what fun surprises come from this cup. It doesn't matter how many times I've done the flip cup with even these same colors, I'm going to get different results every time. Something else to let you know is that fluid painting you do have to be very fluid in it. You have to let go of the control and expectation of what you want it to look like and kind of just see what the surprises are and then go from there. I also might have some designs that I really like, and then they might end up falling off the canvas, and that's also part of the process. So, all right, are you ready to see what this is going to look like? I am. Wow, really pretty. So I've got some really nice gold details here that are showing through, and then my white is kind of hidden underneath, but it's starting to show through as well. And what I'll find in this method is that a lot of times colors are hidden underneath others, and they'll show through as I start to move the canvas around. So what I'm going to be using is gravity to move these paints onto my canvas and see what surprises I get. So I like to go from one corner to another. So I'm already losing that gold detail, but that's okay. So I'm going to move from that corner. I'm just going to kind of touch this corner to get the paint on the side there. And then I'm going to move to the opposite corner, just like this. And as it moves, I get to see what fun surprises show up underneath. All right, beautiful. I'm going to kind of move that back to the center a little bit on my paint. And these last two corners take a little bit more time for the paint to move because there's just not as much excess to run off. Sometimes people say like, oh, I don't want to waste paint, like that's, you know, all that paint running off the side, but this is just part of the fun of experimenting and being creative. We don't have to be precious with all of the materials. This is how we discover new ways to paint. This is how we have fun. So just try to let go of that expectation of like, I'm going to save everything, because it just doesn't always happen, and that's okay. Also, this paint, remember, is mixed in a medium, so it's not just paint that's running off the side, it's the medium as well. And we're getting some really beautiful details coming out. So I'm just kind of touching the sides to pull down the paint to get my edges. And then when I am holding it, I'm holding the underside where that bar is, and that way I'm not getting my fingerprints all over the paint. So this is looking really pretty. So now my paints are all going to move to this last side here. I really like this dark effect. I think I might add a little white on the side to give it a little more space to run down the side of the canvas without losing all of that. So I'm just adding some acrylic paint here that's going to most likely be covered by this design that's going to go down the side. So then this is a bit of a patience game, because this, like I said, this last side always takes a bit longer, but it's really helpful to help us just slow down and take a few minutes in life to just enjoy the process. So it is really creating some beautiful depth. We've got really light colors up here, and then the darker ones down in the lower part, which is really nice. I like this cloud effect that I get from this this white paint that I'm using. It's Artist Loft, and it really adds this really nice, like, soft effect. I think it's really pretty. All right, we're almost to the edge here. And then once it goes over the edge of the last corner, I'll kind of reposition my painting to see if I like the composition of the design or if I want to move it a little bit more. Almost there. And I can even pick up a little paint from the table and just add it on top. There's that finger painting coming into play. So I'm going to check my edges, make sure they're covered. All right, and then I'm going to go the opposite direction again, this way, and make sure that I've gotten my design centered how I want it, just like this. So that looks so pretty. I love it. I love how the colors combine. Like I said, I've never gotten this design before because it's always going to be a bit different and lots of fun surprises along the way. So I've got lots of beautiful details up here on the top and then really soft designs down here. And it does kind of nod to like an underwater scene, which is really lovely. Looks like some bubbles going on here. And then I'm going to check my edges again and make sure that I've gotten everything covered. And there we go. So that's our first painting. That is the flip cup. And this can be a great start to a painting. It can also be the full design. So just depends on how much you want to keep working on it or not. So I hope you enjoyed that. And then I'm going to show you another method, which is called a ring pour. And I'm just going to wipe my gloves off, and I'll show you that other method. Actually, before I wipe my gloves off, I should have moved this over to the side. Let's see. All right, move that there. And I also have a plastic cloth here. This helps me keep everything contained. And then I can use a paper towel, or I can even scrape this paint off and put it in a cup later to use again if I want. So now this is the other method. So I'm going to use the same paints, just kind of demonstrate the different unique designs you can get just depending on what method you're using. So I've got my 12 by 12 canvas here, and I'm going to put that on my risers again. And let's see what word I would like to write this time. I'm going to write joy on this one. Remember that on our other painting, I wrote hope, and you can't see it anymore, but I do think that that painting really does represent beautiful hope. I don't know about you, but when I go to the ocean and I just experience the beauty of it and the refreshing, it feels very hopeful. So joy for this one. And I'm going to put that on the risers here. I'm going to get a new cup and fill it up with paint again. Just going to go a little bit above the line this time. And this time I'm going to try to keep my paints more separated and layered. So first I'm going to use this dark blue. So I'm going to tilt my cup this time. And then I'm going to use white. I'm just doing about a centimeter or so of paint again for each of these. Doesn't have to be exact at all. And then I'm going to add my brighter blue. I'm going to add my nice aqua color here. And then gold. And then I'll just add those colors again. So, and it doesn't have to be the same order either. Like I said, I love that there's no hard rules with this painting style. There's guidelines, and it is really important to get the consistency of your paint right. The process can look super easy, but if the paint is too thick, then the method won't work. And if it's too thin, everything gets really muddied as well. So that consistency is huge in the success of a painting. So, all right, these are layered. Add a little bit more gold. And hopefully I'll be able to show you a nice ring effect here. So we're going to pour this. I'm going to do a little more white actually, just to make sure I've got enough paint. All right. For our joy painting, I'm going to hold my cup just about 1.5 inches or so above the canvas. And then I'm going to slowly pour this paint out in layers. And it looks so pretty already. And it's hard to talk and pour this out at the same time because I start to move. But we'll see what layers we get. Looks like we got a lot of white going. I can also kind of turn my cup here to see if I can get some more color on that side. And as I tilt the canvas, some of those colors will shine through as well. All right, so pretty. So when it's almost all out of my cup, I'll put my hand underneath it just to catch that last drip and then move it over. All right. I'm going to tilt this out onto each side. Whoops, sometimes the cups stick to the bottom, so you got to watch out for that. But I'm also going to add some white around each side just to give me a little bit more runway for my painting. All right. Okay, let's see how this turns out. So this time, instead of going to each corner, I'm going to go to each side of the canvas first. So go on this side, and then I'm going to turn it and go to the opposite direction. And you don't have to do the side versus the corner, it's just how I do it. Then I'm going to get my design, see how it's kind of to the side. I'm going to move it over to the center again. Just like this. And then go this way. So you can see already we've got these really pretty details coming through in these lines. And then we've got them here, going on this direction. All right. So let me get my painting centered again. And then I'll go to this corner, add a little bit more white again. Over here. And on this side as well. And here. Okay. I'm going to tilt it this way. Probably going to lose some of that really pretty like tealy color, aqua. Not quite all of it. All right, nice. And then I'm going to tilt to this other corner. Almost there. I like how these white cells or circles are showing up as well. Okay, now we've got this other corner. I actually kind of like how it looks like this. I might just add white on both sides. And I'm going to show you how I can use air pressure as well to add design. So I like how this looks. I like to leave a little bit of negative space, which is like, in this case, white is the negative space where we don't have a design going on. I think it adds a really nice effect and helps the painting really pop. Some of that's personal preference. You might want to just cover the whole canvas. Oops, I drug a little bit of that blue into the painting. That's okay. So I can use a straw to pull this paint out if I want to move it around. Also, like I said, you can use a blow dryer sometimes to get really nice designs as well. So I can even pull out the sides of these colors into the white paint by using the straw as well. So that's really, really lovely. I think it's very soft on the edges. And I could do that on the other side too if I wanted. It's a really unique look. And I like it. I'm going to spread this, so my blues over here are pretty light and these are a little bit darker, so see if I can get a little more consistency. All right, that's looking great. I love it. So joy, there's a lot of joy in this, a lot of movement, I think, which reminds me of joy. Kind of pull it in one direction, push it, blow it into one direction, I guess. All right, I love this. So if you look at the two paintings that we have, if I can bring this back into the view at all, but they're very different designs, same paints. I could remember even do this painting method twice and get a different result. So I love that about it because there's just endless possibilities and designs that we can see. Another tool that you can use is a torch, and this helps to bring out any air bubbles that might be in the paint, as well as sometimes we get some really pretty designs that come up as well. In the center are just beautiful. I love it. And then these teeny tiny little cells here are so pretty too. All right, and then look at this one as well. So you can see, hopefully you can see some of those bubbles popping, maybe not, but just gets those out of the way. And then as the paintings sit, they'll start to change a little bit more over time as well. So you might have a fun surprise even when you come back to look at your painting later. It's really important that I have my paintings balanced on the risers because the paint can shift over time, and it takes, I'd say it's at least important to give these about 24 hours to dry so that they are fully dry before you touch them. So because the paint has more water in it, it just takes longer than your standard acrylic painting does to dry. But I love these. I love how they turned out. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. I am going to be posting a few other demos in the next couple of weeks, so I hope that you join me for those. And also subscribe to my channel to make sure you can see those and check them out. And yeah, please comment and subscribe, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me.